Hey guys, welcome to the first session of Reading Between the Lines, or RBTL for short. This is gonna be my attempt to try to do some news or patch notes or dev note content and my thoughts on it. Obviously, there's a lot of information we don't know yet because Charles hasn't been data mined yet. I think my full thoughts on Charles and whether he's worth pulling for would probably be based on his base stats and maybe his skill mods. I think one of his skills has additional damage based on how many buffs he has, and it would be interesting to see how much skill modification he has per buff, and I think that would probably make it or break it for me. First things first, we take a look. I'm not going to be playing the YouTube videos for these sessions just in case I get some kind of weird licensing problems, because technically Smilegate owns that video, so if I play it they can claim this one as their own, so I'm not going to do that. So we're going to go without the animation, but definitely check out his animation, and the guy who does the voiceover, he does the explanation pretty well on the skills. Up in terms of practicality, he is a knight, which is kind of to me it's kind of good because he doesn't really exactly work like any other knight currently in game that I can think of. Maybe Basque, maybe similar in terms of like the D-spell and self buffs, but being a 5-star and being a knight, he has access to knight artifacts, which can definitely give him some flexibility. I do like his imprint, critical hit chance on a knight. I think it's fantastic. You see like warriors and other support units have like attack percentage, defense percentage. If you have followed me in other videos, I've done explanations on probably the best percentage based stats will probably be like critical hit damage, critical hit chance, effectiveness, and effective resistance. I do my explanation there because defense and attack can be scaled indefinitely, and you can actually lower or debuff those chances anyway, and once you debuff them, they're pretty much half the amount. So like percentage on those are not that important, but critical hit chance on a tank is super awesome because most likely you would run a tank in your team, and if he's the tank you're going for and you get his imprints over time, then the critical hit chance would definitely benefit. I think the critical hit chances on multiple units have different percentages. That's my finding for like Luna and some other ones that have critical hit chance. So I can't tell for sure how much at this point he gets at SSS. But unless you're a full mega will, I don't think you should be going for that. Yeah, so I'm doing this live on stream, and Terror has said that counter artifact would be essential for Charles. That would be definitely good, because actually we don't know if his counter attack would have proc his S2. So let's go down and read the skills a bit. His background, being like, if you've read the story events and whatnot, you know how close he is to Aether. I'm not going to talk about the lore of obviously on this, but yeah, so if you take a look at his skills, S1 has a 50% chance to decrease attack for 1 turn. Definitely really good. If you have him with a counter artifact, he gets more hits in. He could really help decrease or increase rather your party's survival. And again, if he has like let's say he has Aureus on, let's not count the counterattacks right now. Let's say if he has Aureus on, that would definitely help a ton. I think what really draws me to his kit is his chance to cast his S2, and his S2 is not a passive. It's an active skill with a 3-turn cooldown. So it seems that that's not the one you can... Actually, I don't know which one's the Awakening. Oh, the Awakening is S3, yeah. But it has 80% to a maximum 100%, so if you max skill enhance it, or close to max skill enhance it, I'm presuming, to dispel all buffs, which is amazing. And then damage dealt proportional to the number of buffs granted to the caster himself. Does actually... His counter S1 is probably the chance of... His counter S1 that has chance of S2, probably similar to Bologna mechanics, somewhat, except he's not based on focus, just based on pure RNG. Would countering lower your cooldowns? I don't think so, right? Counters don't reduce cooldown. Because if it does, then I would say, yeah, definitely counter artifacts. So like something like Elbrus Ritual Sword would be super awesome. Yeah, and Toph, I agree. So yeah, if he counters and he can have a chance to do his S2 doing his S1, that I would say that would probably be best in slot. Oh, it won't unless it says so in the skill. Okay, so it doesn't reduce the cooldown, so that's fine. But again, I would say that if you're gonna enhance him, I would probably max enhance his, or get 100% dispel chance on his S2 for sure. And then the S3 is interesting too. So we're gonna look at just the awakening part, because I think, you know, awakening is so easy in this game that you're not gonna keep him for too long, you know, until you already got his skill awakening. So attacks all enemies with a sword storm, increases attack of all allies for 2 turns. Very nice again to have. Buffers, really nice to have on a knight that can handle multiple roles. That's what I really like about Charles. And again, until his, you know, base stats are released, I guess when the patch comes, we'll see his base stats. We'll know for sure if he's really good. I'm gonna assume, because his kit is quite powerful and it doesn't seem like he's like a pure tank, let's say like Crow, I would assume he has like probably decent defense and HP, but not top tier. I would actually, you know, go on a limb and say that he probably has higher base speed than most of your 5-star based knights. It would be interesting to have him with higher speed, because if you could build him with higher speed, that would be a whole interesting dynamic too, because you could run dual tanks and use him as almost like a support unit, support slash disruptor, I suppose. Attacks, yeah, so increase attack for all allies and then increase defense for 2 turns for himself. So it would be cool to run him with like other types of buffers. So like, let's say C Dominion would be really nice, just to have like all sorts of buffs depending again on his S2 modifiers. As you can read there, damage dealt proportional to the number of buffs granted to the caster. Very nice. And then he can self buff. His artifact pretty much works for him, but I think you know, I think it can work for others as well. It's just that the buffs are random, but we'll take a look at the artifacts in a sec. Soul burn is only 10 souls, so that's pretty nice, and it extends buffs by 1 duration. Now obviously if you are fighting, let's say PvP, and you have another Charles in the mix there, it could be make or break for him. But I think in PvP he has potential, but again, too easily to be countered dispel, so I would probably not run him on a defense team, but maybe use him as an offense team. He has a lot of good skills that can be used to counter offensive teams, especially teams that buff. So like DN, which is like meta right now for defense teams, he would be pretty good counter for that. Hey McGromer, welcome to stream. Terror says, well, I know counter increases Charlotte's focus. Yeah, his speed. Yeah, Toph, I agree. His speed is probably the one that I'm most hoping for it to be high, for him to be good. I think like as a knight he'll have pretty good base defense and HP anyway. But if he has like decently fast base speed, like let's say 110 to 115, that's very usable. Very usable. I mean that's really high actually. That's like near Cleary level, which I don't think he's gonna get. Otherwise I think he can become too OP, but you know, who knows. Cleary is already too OP anyway. So so the artifact, Justice for All, if you read the skill, if you look at the max level there, again you would probably need definitely a couple enhancements there, which is almost near impossible, again, unless you're willing. Powder of Knowledge, I would say this is a low priority artifact. It grants the caster a random buff for 1 turn, so keep in mind it's 1 turn. It's 100% chance to get all the time. I think if you plus 15 it, based on, you know, how the other artifacts are upgrading, if you plus 15 it, so if you get one copy, you max level it, it would be a 75% chance. I would say this is a low tier artifact. I can't see a use for it yet other than Charles himself. Again, one random buff, so it could be anything, and it could be totally useless. And again, it's knight exclusive artifact, so, you know, most knights don't need like random buffs, and for himself, I think, you know, he doesn't even need this artifact. Like I said, I think depending on how his base stats and his modifiers, counter like Elbrus Ritual Sword, other counter artifacts like single target ones would probably be best in slot for him, I would say, for utility, just because even if he doesn't proc to S2, just the S1 attack break is already like incredible. You really want that. But yeah, I don't know, if you pull on this banner and you get this artifact, I can't see a use for it. I don't know if you guys Top said, he said DN, closes tab. That's true. Yeah, so I would definitely say you get really lucky if you pull for Charles, but if you don't get Charles but you get the artifact instead, you got really unlucky. Very big contrast compared to the couple of the previous banners, in my opinion. Like the Lidica one, the artifact is actually pretty decent, and Lidica being awesome as well. Yeah, so anyways, let's continue on. I'm gonna skip down to what I think is important news. Story event, pretty much self-explanatory. You guys can read this or even do the event. You don't even need to read this to prepare, but I guess it's good to know what kind of catalyst you'll be getting from this one. So Fused Nerve, Small Sun Badge, Ring of Glory, those are all, I guess he's the same star sign as DN, right? That would make sense. Yeah, Gemini. Yeah, so the exact same one. So I mean, if you haven't like let's say max enhance your DN, if you pulled DN, this is a good time to get it too. Malagor Seeds, yeah, typical stuff, so not much that we need to look at. Taking a look here, bookmarks, Skystones. Yeah, so this equipment stats and enhancement improvements, this is pretty good news. This is pretty big news, and I think this will definitely change the way we play. Depending, okay, so basically if you look at this, it says regardless of the grade, so epic or rare or even I guess normal, the main stat will always be the same level, like the same base value. That is incredibly crazy if you think about it. The only thing right now is like this is not really clear on whether it's left side or right side gear only. If it's just left side gear only, this is still really good, and if it's right side gear including right side gear, that's an extreme big buff. That means if you get something like a 85 but rare 85 rare necklace on like let's say Wyvern 11, you get the max base stats, which is just crazy. So like let's say 85 epic necklace for critical hit damage is 65%. If that's the case, if that works on the right side, that's just super broken. And also they're changing the substat roll order, which is super awesome as well. So let's take a look at this. So again, at this point we don't know whether or not it's affecting the right side gear, but even if it's the left side gear, it's a huge improvement, because then you're going to be getting 300. Actually, wait, no, how does that even... Oh, yeah. That you'll always be getting, if you're 85 weapon, regardless if it's epic or not, you're going to always be getting 300 attack for a weapon. That's really awesome. Ice says, loving the upgrade rework, much more friendly, totally more friendly. In a way, it's kind of like, it's good from this point forward, but as you can see, they made it really clear, stats of items acquired prior to this update will not change. So it kind of sucks, because, you know, what if you got like a really awesome gear with like really good substats, and then you can have like this additional, let's say 25 attack, 50 attack, and you won't be getting it. So it kind of sucks, but it just means you just gotta farm more. So over time, I believe we will start, you know, maybe selling, I would say, let's say generation 1 gear. So the gear that we have currently before the patch, let's call it generation 1 gear, will eventually be like replacing those slowly, because you know, if you get lucky substat rolls and whatnot, you're going to be replacing them over time for the better enhanced stats. And again, like I said, everything will change depending if this applies to the right side stats. So we'll know like maybe an hour or two after the patch, because people are going to be start grinding gear. And also it also means that buying accessories from the secret shop will be relevant again. So many of us, at least in my guild and in my community, are kind of like almost late game. We're pretty much just farming the hunts for accessory drops, because you know, you get a better rate on it anyway, and you don't need to refresh the secret shop. But if the right side is applying the new this new upgrade, then you actually buying from there would be really good, because I have a ton of like level 85 gear, but it's all normal, it's all gray. I don't know why you guys call it gray, it looks like brown to me, but I don't know. Anyways, normal gear, but they have like decent stats. So let's say like an 85 normal for critical rate, so critical hit chance would be like 45%. But if it counts towards like just the base level regardless of the grade, I think that's like a 55% chance crit, which is crazy. And that kind of stuff does come quite a bit. So hold on, let's see, you guys are saying something. So these are moving existing boosts in front of the hand. Yeah, Ice says makes blue usable now. Solid pulls substats and it's almost guaranteed some use. Not only that, if you take a look at, let's say, the substat increase. So before, if you guys are new and the older players already know this, before, if you get an epic, you get 4 substats, right? You get 4 substats right off the bat, just like you see in this image in the top there. If you get a rare, so I'm gonna highlight this. I think this does show up on screen. Yeah. So if you get a rare, you get 2 substats, but then each +3 +6, you get a new substat. So it fills the substats first before you get the substat enhancement. But after, now it looks really good. So let's compare rare to rare. After, you get the substat enhancement first, and then you get a new substat, and then a final substat enhancement. So that actually becomes really good, where you actually roll. So sometimes, for myself, again, so I don't know how you define late game player anymore, but I suppose like I'm always looking for gear that prior to this patch, always looking for either heroic or epic 70 or 85 tier. And you know, I'm always looking at the substats, and I'm always dreading that first reroll of the substats, because like, let's say if you have 3 good substats and you have an empty one for heroic, you get 3 substats when you get the item. I'm always dreading that, you know, like, do I +3 this? Because let's face it, guys, like, everyone is suffering from using gold for enhancements, and getting charms is actually really hard, especially with all these awesome event equipment. You have to really farm arena, you got to really farm your raids and labyrinths to get your enhancements. But now you get 2 substat enhancements. So let's say you have this helmet up here, you have attack and critical hit chance, and it's like, okay, I need both of those substats. Now rolling to +6 is not salty, because it, you know, arguably it's actually not even better. Let's say if you're actually going for 1 substat only. Let's say it's speed, okay? Let's say it's speed. If you roll that, let's say you go to something like good, you get 1 substat, okay? And let's say it is speed. Let's say it starts off with a pretty decent speed. Let's say 5. You get the substat enhancement on the +3. So you're gonna get an increase in that speed no matter what. So let's say you roll a 3 and you get an 8 speed. That, generally speaking, you get possibly higher chance of higher speed than, let's say, an epic item, epic equipment with 1 speed substat, because you're rolling 1 out of 4. So if you get a rare with 2 substats, and you get both of them are like good stats, let's say critical hit damage, speed, you get 2 substat enhancements till +6. You get a new substat at +9, which arguably, you know, sometimes you don't even need those 4 substats. Sometimes you know you're gonna roll some crap for the other 2 substats. You just need 2 usable substats, and this update really gives you that. So in my opinion, this update is really good for, again, new players, old players, going forward, because again, this is really changed the way we keep our gear and see which gear you want to sell. Now again, only gear acquired after the maintenance. So if you're hoarding, let's say, some items that have, you know, what I'm talking about, let's say 2 really good substats, I don't think it applies to them, but we'll have to see. Maybe maybe I'll do a test. But again, I think only stats acquired prior to the update will not change. So I don't know if this substat change applies to this new rule on top. We'll have to kind of test it and see. Let's see here, other new things. So okay, I'm gonna say this for this the community here. This chat report feature, I think this could be abused, and I think Smilegate might have their work cut out for them. Like, you know, offensive language, spam, inappropriate nickname, and stuff like that, it could be very subjective, so people could be reporting people left and right. Now, hopefully, if you guys are watching this video, you guys are not, you know, just trolls and toxic community members in Epic 7. You know, I know that Smilegate would have, like, probably a team to deal with this kind of chat report stuff, but, you know, but they have their work cut out for them. You know, I don't think we should spam them, you know, abusively. So they can keep developing the game, you know, keep their funds in hiring people to develop the game, not hiring people to monitor the chat. Honestly, I think this is kind of like, they should really remove that. Tara's like, I'm getting ready to report Jagan. Yeah, honestly, yeah, this is very subjective. You know, what is spam? What is offensive language? What is other? Wow, you can report other? You don't know, offensive language, you find it everywhere, and you know, Smilegate's game with all the waifus is not exactly child friendly, so it's kind of like, would you really report someone? So don't be that guy. Don't be the guy who reports someone just because you got you see some swearing here and there. Although I don't endorse it. In my community, they're actually not allowed to swear, but in the game, and just like, you can't do anything about it. See here, report. You get to report 3 times a day. Oh jeez, man, please, you don't need 3 times a day. Yeah, I think that's a mistake on their part. They really shouldn't do it. They don't need to do it here. They should just report in customer service or something. They don't need to do it in game. Other improvements and bug fixes, I don't think we need to really look at it. I mean, you get to see the rate if you're buying these summon packs with your transmute zones and whatnot, but you know, what is that going to really do for you, I suppose? Unless there are units you can't get from this pool. Next week's new Moonlight Heroes, 5-star Silverblade Araminta. Ooh, Kyle would love this. Moonlight Dingo. His name is Moonlight Dingo? That doesn't that sound really lame? I don't know, actually. We call them Moonlight, like, you know, Moonlight Tenebria and all that as a nickname, but they have like full names, right? So Dingo should have a real name. It's like Moonlight Dingo sounds really lame. That name already sounds lame. Dingo itself. As a whole, anyway, that's rant. That's a ranty thing. it's not a news review. It's just rant. Let's see here. Any other thing that I want to bring up in this new segment? Some bug fixes, some UI fixes. I don't think it's not that important. It's interesting here. I saw Specimen Says his English voice has been added. Obviously, I didn't pull Specimen Says, as you can see, but that's cool. I think the voices are really awesome. So the voice actors in Epic 7, actually, I think they do a bang up job, and I think they hire like really good video game voice actors. Like looked at IMDb and stuff, like they do other games too, like most of the voice actors and actresses. So I think I'm gonna end this here. Tara's like, you're insulting my national animal, you're lame, reported. You see, totally, it could totally be totally be abused. Okay, anyways, I think I'm gonna end this here. So that has been the first session of reading between the lines, or RBTL. Again, I don't know, you know, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below on YouTube. The guys on stream obviously gave me their thoughts already live, but let me know what you think. You know, what do you think about Charles, and we'll be pulling for him. Again, I think every single unit in Epic 7, unlike some other gacha games, clear his throat, unlike other gacha games, have some like really pretty much like replaceable units. So far, Epic 7 hasn't been able to. They haven't gotten to a point where they're kind of like duplicating roles too much. They're all pretty unique in terms of their skill sets, and again, base stats would totally change the outcome of how you would use the units, I think. And so I would definitely recommend, if you have some spare Spirit Covenant bookmarks, try to pull for Charles. But again, feels bad, man, if you get his artifact, because I think that's a worthless artifact. Probably the most worthless 5-star one I can think of at the moment, but I could be wrong. So let me know what you guys think below, and we're gonna end that there. So if you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.